All right, we are going to install the gripper. All right, to start, I'm going to assume you have the arm already mounted on the base. If you don't, check out the other video on how to do that. So first thing, unplug the microphone, the camera, which is in the head, and then the USB audio dongle from the Raspberry Pi. All right, once those three things are out, I've already done this just for the sake of the video, but you're going to unscrew these 4 screws and you can leave the screws in that top plate. And you can just pick up the head and set it down in front of your robot and kind of clear out these cables. Also, if you haven't already, definitely unplug your battery. And again, just be very careful of these posts because they're a little bit fragile as you're taking this thing apart and installing the gripper. All right, so the gripper, I've already taken the cover, the lens cover off the camera. So if you haven't yet, you can do that now. And then in the box that came with your arm, there's a little bag with a bunch of Lego pins, and I've taken 3 of those pins and I've stuck them in these 3 holes in the back. You could do 4 also if you wanted, but I've been using 3 and it seems to be plenty strong. All right, so step 1, we're gonna take this, well, maybe let's say first, let's kind of align the arm in this position, put it down. And then these little marks on the arm, this indicates the 0 position. So I'm going to rotate this end effector and make sure those lines are lined up. And now I'm going to take the gripper. You can see, line it up with the Lego holes on that side and press it in. Make sure they're all the way. It is a little hard to push the pins all the way into the 3D printed gripper side. So when you were putting those pins in, just make sure they're pushed all the way in, so it's nice and tight. All right, I can put the arm up here. Okay, so this is going to supply power. So this extra plug here is going to plug into the side of the arm here. It's a little hard to hold the camera. Do this with one hand. And then kind of just make sure these cables are coming out from the back. All right, now you're gonna take, this should already be plugged in when you got your gripper. But this is gonna go in this orientation. And again, while you got this thing open, just make sure that the arm is plugged in. So this is your 12-volt output here. And this came in a little bag with your Elite, but just make sure this is plugged in with the barrel jack over on that side. Okay. So this board is the arm controller, and this is going to plug in right in the back here. Make sure that gets seated all the way in. And this should have already been plugged in when you got it too, but this is the I2C Quick cable. Quick is the system from SparkFun. It's also called Stemma. It's the same connectors from Adafruit. All right, so you're gonna plug that in right on the left side here. It doesn't really matter which one you plug it into. Either one will work. And then route this cable up under here, and we're gonna plug it in to the main controller. This is the main controller PCB down here, and the main controller has several boards on top of it. There's a 5-volt regulator, the battery charger, and then this is the 12-volt regulator for the arm. But down there you see this little, this is an Adafruit Arduino board, so this is a Stemma / Quick connector, and we're gonna plug this side of the cable into that Arduino. See if I can do this with one hand. we go. Again, make sure that's nice and seated well in there and plugged all the way. Okay, I'm gonna kind of clean these cables up, make sure they're routed nice. And this should be everything. So this is the data line for the Dynamixel going up to the gripper. We got the camera on there. So now we can pick the head up and put it back on and make sure this I2C power cable going up to the head is on this side of this post. And I'm not going to show it, but you would now screw these 4 screws back in to secure the head. You can you can plug these USB connections back in. And then with your gripper, you got an extension cable, USB extension cable, and this is for the camera that's on the gripper, so that it'll reach over here when the arm is fully extended. So this extension cable plugs in here, and then the other side goes into the Pi. Now you'll notice a couple things. You'll notice that the Pi only has 4 USB cables, and with this second camera, now we have 5 USB devices. I don't have a good solution yet, so maybe somebody can find a good solution for like a nice little hub that doesn't create a lot of extra wiring back here, something that's nice and tight, to give us 5 USB ports so we can have both cameras plugged in. Usually in my tests so far, just programs I've made, I've only needed one of the cameras, so I've just been plugging in one or the other. But definitely, I'm sure you'll have projects where you'll need both, and the microphone and the speaker. So definitely let me know if you have any suggestions on that. And let me know if you have any suggestions too for these cable routing. Right now I haven't had any issues, just these cables just kind of hanging down the back. Obviously you don't want them dangling and obstructing the LiDAR. But so far I haven't had any problems with that either. But if you have some suggestions on how to route these cables well, definitely let us all know. What else? Okay, I would say one gotcha when you're powering up the robot. So when you either plug your battery in, or if you want to reset the arm's power, you can unplug this DC jack and then plug it back in. You'll find that if you have the arm in like this position when you power it up, the robot, and you try to send commands to it to like move, it won't move. That's because the arm looks like it has some, in the firmware, it looks like it knows when it's sort of at its limits like this, and it doesn't allow the arm to move. So, it thinks maybe, it's gonna like try to drive into itself. So what you need to do is have all the joints not at their limits. So something like this. So if it's like this when you power it up, it's gonna be fine. But if there's any joint that's like, say this joint was here, so they're touching, it's not gonna move when you try to send it commands. It needs to be like out a little bit. So you can either hold it, or it's pretty easy to just kind of extend it up and get it in a position where it'll stay. And now if you plug it in, you'll be fine. Again, just that got me, it definitely got me, because it kind of naturally sits down and the joints are too close to each other, and it kind of puts it into an error state, and it won't let you send commands to it when it's like that. So again, just kind of hold it up or just pull it up and get it to where it stays, something like that. When you power it up, and now you'll be able to send commands and they'll execute. So yeah, can't wait to see what you all do with the arm and the new gripper.